Hey everybody, this is MyCollectables coming back with another video for you. Here's a video that I've been thinking about doing for about a week or so. I've been thinking about this topic and it's something that I've been looking at in the marketplace and looking at on the app, and I really wanted to share with you my thoughts about this, okay? I really want to know what you think about it as well. But the title of the video and the point of the video is that large edition sizes no longer exist in VeVe, okay? The idea of large edition sizes. So let me just back up a little bit and explain what I mean by that, and then we'll get into the main part of the video. Some collectibles on VeVe, we've stereotypically noticed since the beginning, if you've been here for a little while, that they have large edition sizes. Some collectibles have a lot more edition sizes than others. And of course, I made a video earlier, a few weeks ago, on my take, on my point of view, that rarity and scarcity is king in the app. The lower the edition sizes, the more important the collectible, and that it can supersede the actual item itself in terms of popularity. Scarcity can be way more valuable than popularity of an item, right? In this particular app, okay? In the real world, slightly different, but here in the VeVe universe, in the VeVe app, that usually is the case, right? But as we started to get more and more users to the app, okay, large edition sizes are starting to become something that doesn't really exist anymore. How we describe items that have a lot of, editions, 48,000 editions. We have always thought, at least a lot of us have thought, that meant that, there's lots of them out there. But you know what's happening? That is actually not the case anymore. This is a big turn that's happening right now. It's been happening for a few weeks. I've been watching it. I've been noticing it. It's reflective in the prices in the market. Large editions aren't large editions as much anymore. And the rare items, the lower items that have less edition sizes, they're even becoming more scarce. So let's get into it. I brought some numbers for you to break it down. Have a look. Let me know what you think, okay? So let's get to the first page right here. Now, some of the reasons that I say that large edition sizes, they no longer exist, okay? The thought of it, right? Is that number one, we have more users, okay? More users are using this app every day, every week, every month, okay? And the more people we have in the app, the less the more rare these items get to buy, right? So stick with me here. The source on, VeVe's Twitter, if you follow their Twitter feed, which I do, you'll get lots of information about drops and stuff like that. But also, towards the end of the year, they released a couple numbers, and these numbers are, what they're releasing or whatever, and, they're obviously a bit higher now, for sure. There's lots of people that have come in the last month. But according to VeVe, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, total 2021 users, about 1.4 million users in the app every month, okay? So monthly. So these are active users who are using the app. Some are around that number, okay? I believe it's probably higher now, much higher now. This is sort of what they were projecting by the end of the year, I think. So, if you guys have a link to the actual numbers, please put it in the comments below, and let's really get into this. But I based some of my theories on here based upon that particular number, and I just want to share that with you. Second reason that large edition sizes are basically going away now is that collectors are holding, okay? So collectors are holding on to items that that they would normally, you would have seen a ton of them in the market. The markets, the numbers of items that are in the market on some of the big grail items are really shrinking down because collectors are holding them, right? So you combine more users, okay, per month that are using the app, that are going after stuff, and you combine that with collectors holding on to items and not selling them. This is making things a little rarer for sure. A lot more rare for other, collectibles that normally would have big editions that you could easily get in the past. So let me just give you a couple examples, okay? I'm going to scroll down right here. I'll start with just the big stuff, but this is some of the big stuff that has large editions. So, first appearance SpiderMan, of course, everyone knows it. Now, the edition size on that is 32,000 for a common. So 32,000 versions of this exist in VeVe, okay? And so, that stereotypically, over the whole course that I've been involved in VeVe, people have thought that that's a lot, right? But I want to actually break down for you that that actually is not a big number, okay? It's actually getting smaller by the second. It's getting smaller by the day, the more users that come in. So if you do a little basic math, okay, and correct me if my math is a little off, okay? I'm more of a collector, not a mathematician. But the basic math is if you take like the amount of users that we have in the app, and then you divide that by the amount of editions that we have of an item, you can see how many people could potentially own one of these items, okay? So that means like, you know, how many people can have one only, okay? And if we spread it out, obviously all the users of the app can't all own one of these Spider-Mans, right? Okay, because there's not as much, right? So let's check it out. So the percentage of users owning one copy of the Amazing Spider-Man First Edition, about 2%. So 2% of all users in the app can actually own one, okay? Otherwise, it runs out. There's not enough, right? And then that's just saying if people only own one. Now, we know that some people own 10, maybe even 20 of these, like, you know, at least 2, 3 maybe, right? So that number actually is actually lower, right? The percentage of people that can actually have one. And new users, when they come to the app, they're experiencing now the fact that there is less for sale, less available. You know, people have multiple, people who got in early, and you know, it goes for 950 gems for the common. Now remember, some people are wondering, why is the common up so high? It's because of this exact reason. There's not as many for sale. It's actually rarer than you think. Okay, let's go to the next one right here. Amazing Spider-Man #1. Stereotypically, we've all thought that it had huge edition sizes at 48,000 for the common version. Okay, if you look at the percentage of users in the app, only 3.5% of all users, around about, can own one copy of this comic book, this Grail comic book. It's going for $284 right now in the market, okay? It's gone up a little bit. It's going to go up higher. The more users that come to the app, the less of us are going to be able to own this item. And like I said, the large edition sizes that we think that this had, that doesn't exist anymore. 48,000 is actually becoming more scarce than you realize, right? At least this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm figuring out, right? Let's go down to Marvel Comics #1. We all know the price of the common has gone quite a bit higher in the last, like, you know, month or so, a few weeks. Same thing, 48,000 editions only. Same kind of percentage, around 3.5% can own one. I know that people own like 10 of these, okay? So that percentage actually drops, right? It's going for $545 in the marketplace right now. This is January 21st. It's only going to keep going up the scarcer it gets. Remember my point at the beginning, the more users and also people are holding, collectors are holding these items. They're not selling all the ones. They might sell them one day. You'll see some come on the market, but you know, people are holding them. Go check the market. You can see how many are listed in there. Out of 48,000 copies, how many are actually for sale, okay? That's the real key number. Let's go down a little bit further. Fantastic Four #1, another big Grail comic, right? Another big edition size, you know, stereotypically from what we've thought before. Okay, but this is a new age now, 48,000, same thing. 3.5% only could own one. And that's if, like I said, if everybody in the app had a chance to just get one, if none of them were taken by anybody, only 3.5% of all the users would be able to buy this comic. Don't you think that the price of that is going to be like really high? It goes for $212 right now in the market, okay? And actually this morning, because I actually did this, like these numbers last night, I believe it's like 170 or so. So anyway, let's get down a little bit further. Now, I just wanted to talk about just a basic comic, okay? Just a basic comic edition that they've been doing lately. They've been doing the 21,000 edition drop, okay? Now, this is lower than those original comics that they released a lot more of, okay? This one, the percentage of owning one of these copies is only 1.5% of all users can actually own that basic comic, okay? That's the amount of users we have in the app, like I said, and the amount of comics actually available, okay? And this is a common one, just a basic one. So when you see these 21,000 editions come out, these drops, there's a reason why it's hard to get the drops, okay? There's a lot of people going for them. The chances of getting one are lower, right? So don't be like really upset if you don't get one, okay? I know the good old days are gone, right? Or you can get every single drop. Anyway, 21,000 editions only. This goes for 25 gems. So think about that. So only 1.5% of all people can get this particular comic or any basic comic. And there's only, you know, 1.5% of them is only 25 gems. So as more and more people come to the app, I mean, these are going to become scarcer and rarer and harder to get. Now, like, who knows if it'll go up in value? Basic comics like this, they're all going to go up eventually, right? Because, not a lot of people are going to be as sought after for this particular one. This is the one that was actually dropping this morning, by the way. And full disclosure, I did not get one. I'm 0 for 5 on these, okay? So I don't know about you guys, but I have not been lucky on these ones. I got Invisible Woman, but I haven't got any of the Spider-Man comics on the drop, okay? I picked them up in the marketplace, but Anyway, let's go on a little bit more. Now, let's go to the extreme other side of things. Now, people were always talking about this particular comic, Amazing Spider-Man, 252, yeah. And this particular comic was so rare, okay? Now, I don't think people really realize how rare it was. A lot of people were slagging this comic, saying, oh, shouldn't be worth this much. There's only 425 editions of the comic, okay? And let's just look at that. The percentage of owners, users owning one copy of this, okay, it's ridiculous. 0.0003%, okay, of people can own one copy, okay? And we know that some people own a couple of these or more than that. So that is why this is worth like $6,400 in the marketplace right now. It is so incredibly scarce. And as I said in one of my previous videos, scarcity is king in the VeVe world. I know popularity is a thing as well. Obviously, the more scarce and the more popular of an item, it's going to be worth way more. This is Spider-Man, but just think about how rare and scarce this item is, okay? So if you own one of these, you should be really, really excited about it because it is so rare, okay? And it will always have huge value because it's Spider-Man, right? But that's a minuscule amount of us, all in the app that can actually own one. The funny thing is you can go in the marketplace right now and you can buy one, and there's not that many for sale, right? Think about that, right? Just think about that, okay? So anyway, let's scroll on a little bit further. I have some final thoughts before I end the video. Do a little recap. There's a lower edition trend. That's my first final thought. The lower edition trend is also happening with the creators of VeVe. These comics are coming out at 21,000 and 10,000 editions. They're not coming out with these 48,000 editions anymore. So it's actually, being hard. It's hard to get these comics on the drop and these collectibles as well. And the more and more users that keep coming to the app, the harder it's going to be, right? And the more and more scarce these items are going to be. So what you're witnessing is like an exponential growth in scarcity compared, that follows along with the exponential growth with, the amount of users, right? And so these items, they're hard to hold on to, right? I mean, well, they're easy to hold on to. I mean, they're hard to acquire, off the drops. You pick them up in the marketplace because, a lot of people don't realize how rare and scarce, the VeVe collectibles really are. I mean, they're pretty scarce, but we're still able to get them at reasonable prices. It's an amazing time, okay? Second point right here is every user is a buyer, okay? So think about that for a second. So, if you compare like a comic book in the real world that's worth a certain amount of money, and there's like so much people in the planet, right? 99.9% of the people on the planet or whatever are not interested in buying collectibles, okay? They're not interested in buying a comic book, okay? Specifically like a Spider-Man comic book. But theoretically, every person that is in the VeVe app is a buyer, okay? So that's where you get the numbers. You get the numbers of every single person who is in the app, using the app right now, is a potential buyer for every single collectible that you see. So there's a lot of competition, right? In the real world, I mean, I owned a comic book store, collectible store for 5 years. People would come in, they look for their certain things, but the general public is just walking by, right? You get like actual collectors and comic book people in, and they know what they're looking for. But everybody, think about it, everybody on the street, okay? If this was like a thing, like if the VeVe was a town, every single person in that town is a buyer, okay? If I have a store in a town, like 5%, 2%, 1% of people in that town or city are actual buyers for my product, everybody here is a buyer. So that just increases the scarcity of these items and the popularity of these items, okay? So, like I said right here in my third point, scarcity is rising, okay? It's rising every day, every minute, every hour. As long as the app keeps progressing, people keep coming to the app, We have more users coming all the time. The scarcity level rises with them. So, Marvel Comics #1 at 48,000 editions, the common, where everyone's like, well, there's tons of them, right? Well, there's not as many as you think, right? Like, they're a lot rarer than you think, and they're getting more and more rare every day. So be thankful you're here early, right? And that's my final point. Don't worry, you're still here early, okay? This is early days of the app. I made a video a couple days ago, or maybe less than a week ago, about that, what a great time this is, for us that are actually here. We're way ahead of the curve. We're getting stuff. If you're just arriving to the app now and you're just arriving to the VeVe universe, or you're watching this video and this is like the first thing you've ever seen about VeVe, don't worry, you have a chance to get in. You can get some really great stuff at really good prices. You can get these collectibles before they shoot up in value, and it's not like a financial advice or anything like that, because this is just a collector's point of view. But, you're still early, right? Like, we're still in that good sweet spot, I think. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, because like I said, all of the users are coming up, they're getting like more and more every day. So let's just scroll all the way back to the beginning before I end the video. Large edition sizes, they don't exist anymore, okay? 48,000 editions, that's not large, okay? It's actually getting small, okay? Let's put it in perspective. The amount of users, if you go and you follow Twitter, if you follow VeVe on Twitter and you get some of their numbers, and we start cracking down these numbers and more, 1.4 million users per month on the app, then you start to see that, like, with collectors holding that items like this that have 32,000 editions that stereotypically we thought were like really high editions, they're not as high anymore, okay? They don't exist. So we can stop saying, oh, that one's got really high edition numbers. No, it doesn't have high edition numbers. It is higher compared to others, right? But I think we should switch the terminology from that's got really high edition numbers, it's not going to be as valuable, to that is really scarce, okay? We don't even have to use high editions anymore, unless they come out with something that's got like 500,000 editions or something like that, right? I mean, I don't know. But even at that point, only half the users or a third of the users on the app could even get one, right? So it's, like, it all goes in scale and perspective. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this. I'd love to know if you've noticed this or if you notice anything else about it. Let me know, if what you think. Let me know like what collectibles you're going for. Just comment down below. I'd love to read about it. You can follow me on the app. I'll follow you back. I've said a few times about how to do that. Find Darkhawk Rare, comic #1, Darkhawk Rare. I have one for 100,000 gems. You can just go and get that one. Go look at it, right? That's where you'll find me. I'll follow you back. You can follow me on Instagram as well, because I'm posting a lot more stuff, right? And yeah, I would just love it if you come back for other videos. And like I said, the comments are great. I've been reading through all of them. I've been clicking like on some of them, and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to, comment back and stuff like that. It's hard because there's a lot. And thank you so much for that. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Let this sink in. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy collecting.